What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel here from the Geek Speak Nation channel, and today I'm here to talk about... Yeah, that still gives me chills. Roll the intro. So, here I am, same blue t-shirt again, and, I feel like I've been very critical with the channel and analyzing and dissecting things and talk about a lot of stuff that some things I don't particularly like, but trying to analyze that in a very fair and, fair critical lens, but I think I wanted to be a little bit more positive, for a better way of putting it. Talk about something that I watched recently that I really enjoyed, and that's Invincible. This show, based on the comic book by Robert Kirkman of Walking Dead fame, was something that was always on my radar for years. If you guys are familiar with Greg Miller, Game Over Greggy, big video game pundit, he constantly, when I was watching his content and kind of funny content, they were always talking about Invincible, and he always talked about how great of a comic book series it was and how a lot of people treated it like it was Robert Kirkman's magnum opus. I mean, a lot of people talked about how much more engaging and how much better and crucial of a piece of fiction it was, more so than The Walking Dead. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm never gonna read it. Because for some reason, I just didn't. And this is during the time I was heavily reading comic books and keeping up and buying the weeklies and monthlies when it came to DC Comics and stuff like that. So I was pretty invested in the comics at the time. So I'm actually pretty surprised looking back at it that I didn't end up picking up the series. But regardless, here we are. Amazon has made this show, and it is fantastic. It is really fantastic. And I don't want to sit here, not attempt to do my due diligence in not recommending this show to people, because it is worth your time. I've seen a lot of the comparisons that came up on social media when the show was first premiering was a lot of comparisons to The Boys, that this is a dark, gritty TV show that takes a look at superheroes and flips it on its head. And to a certain degree, that is correct. It is similar to The Boys, where you're not afraid to shy away from very adult themes and graphic violence and show you the reality of, hey, if a guy who can stop a train with his hand punches you in the chest, it's going to be catastrophic in the results, okay? Like, what's going to happen next is not going to be pretty. And so, yes, in that ways, it does explore that. But I think the show is a bit more effective, with specifically in reference to Invincible, is more effective at being a commentary on the superhero genre than The Boys TV show is. The Boys original comic book is just a juvenile piece of trash, but the TV show is much smarter in its approach towards a lot of social commentary, up until the point in season 2 where it almost becomes a parody of itself. It's a need and it's a desire to make social commentary, where it almost parodies the things that it ends up making fun of in that season, which is pretty funny. But I think if you're looking for something that somewhat, yes, has some political commentary here and there in the first season, some of that is there, that criticism of American culture and world governments, but what you're actually getting in this series is a authentic subversion of certain superhero tropes that we've come to know and love, like the idea of being the son of Superman, the idea of what a Justice League would be like, or a Teen Titans, and the mishmash of personalities and what that would actually end up entailing, and people who abuse their power that can do super things. I think when you end up looking at the series, it's so much more effective in that way, because it's not there to make fun of superheroes. It's not there to satirize the genre in and of itself. If anything, Invincible is more so like this grandiose love letter to everything we love about comic books in every form of the genre, from the big team ups to the gritty Batman style exploring and trying to stop crime on a lower level, to the going to Mars and fighting Martians and aliens and stopping alien invasions and all that sort of stuff. It does all of these things in a way that, yes, wants to subvert your expectations of how those things would realistically pan out, but it is also endearing because the show has so much heart and it has so many characters that you end up caring about and genuinely care about their relationships and how they interact with one another, and that when certain characters get hurt or die or revelations come to light about what certain characters do in the dark, it genuinely pains you to watch those situations play out, because you want the best for the characters as they're presented and you want them to be heroes and you're genuinely rooting for them. And I think that's the big difference between that and something like The Boys, which the show constantly gets compared to, because it's in its own lane, I feel like, in what it's trying to do, and it's trying to give us a superhero origin story with the character of Invincible, but at the same time let us explore something different, explore something dark, explore something gritty, but give us that satisfaction that a good superhero story can give us. So I think what we get in season 1 is truly something unique, and it's something you don't want to miss. Not only is the story fantastic, and Robert Kirkman did a great job of adapting his own comic book onto on-screen platform or on-screen screenplay and all that sort of stuff, or teleplay would technically be the terminology for it, I believe. He does a great job at that, but also the cast, the voice cast that they have brings it. I mean, from Stephen Yeun playing as Invincible or Mark, to J.K. Simmons being a revelation as Omni-Man, to Sandra Oh doing a wonderful emotional performance as the mother of Invincible, and then you also got Seth Rogen in there and Matt Mercer, and it's just such a great group of talent that is in those roles that aren't there to just deliver the, hey, can you believe it's Guilford Godfrey and the just doing a voice? Like, it's people genuinely giving performances, and it's not about the theatrics of, oh, isn't it funny that guy's voiced by insert celebrity? It's not about that. It's sure the celebrities are in there, but it's them giving genuinely really good vocal performances, and Mark Hamill is in it. So that's what makes it really, really enjoyable in the first place. And then on top of that, you have a really good soundtrack for this show as well, which is worth checking out, with really good music done by the guy who did Dave. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on his name, but he did the Daredevil soundtrack for Netflix. He did the soundtrack for the Marvel Spider-Man video game and the Spider-Man Miles Morales video game. He is a wonderful, wonderful composer. And he did a fantastic job with the individual score away from the licensed music that's in this show. And I'd also say one of the big standouts is also the animation. At times, the animation in this show can look really cheap in that kind of Young Justice, YA, Justice League, dark, that same type of animation team comes in to do this show. And during the moments where there isn't action, they really try their best to cut every single corner that they possibly can. Where I'm talking about, like, it's obvious that a character is standing there and a JPEG is like being slid left and right to indicate motion or falling. And some of it looks really, really cheap, especially in the first episodes when characters are just talking, and none of the movements seem very natural. So that was like one of the kind of like the biggest gripes I had in the series. But man, when that action is bumping, it feels like they took a cue from the Japanese form of animation. They looked at a lot of anime and were like, what if we got some Sakuga artists? What if we got some specific animators to lead certain sequences, and we just don't truck a whole bunch of money into these action sequences to make them look as fluid and as well choreographed and as expressive and breaking character models and doing all this crazy stuff as possible. Like, it was awesome the way they handle these action sequences, and you see that anime influence in the way that they do these things, because I've watched almost every single animated DC property. I'm a big DC fanboy, so I've seen almost every single animated DC film, and all of them done in the same form of art style. So I've seen it all from when it's done really poorly and when they do it really well. With what they normally shine with this form of animation is the hand-to-hand combat and the choreography that goes inside of it. But it felt like they were doing that, but taking it to just this next level with the expressiveness and the VFX and the way they integrated 3D backgrounds into certain action sequences. Just a fantastic job that the animation department does in this show. And the action in this show will keep you on the edge of your seat. It really will. And not in the cliche way, like genuinely after each and every single episode, you're just more and more tense because you're like, oh God, things are about to get a whole lot worse, aren't they? And they do get a whole lot worse. And that's what makes it very engaging as well. But genuinely, if I had to give this a rating, I'd give it like a 9.5 or something like that. I don't really do ratings anymore. I just tell you if you should watch or should not watch something, if it's worth your time. And Invincible Season 1 is definitely worth your time. Right now, it's sitting as #1 as my favorite TV show of the year so far. That could change. Something else might come up that really blows me away. But for right now, Invincible Season 1 is sitting at the top of the mountain, and it is so worth your time, and I really do hope you check it out. And if you have checked out the series, let me know what you thought of it in the comment sections down below. And be sure to like the video if you end up liking this review, and subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and make sure you hit the bell icon as well and set it to all so you always get notified of when I post a new video. If you end up liking this series, or if you have already watched the series and you enjoy it, please share this with people, this show with people you think would be interested in it, because Amazon does a terrible job at promoting their TV shows. I mean, an absolutely dreadful, horrid, despicable job. I feel like the thing that has truly saved this series from obscurity is that the last episode went viral with a meme. And the Twitter account for Invincible has been playing up memes like crazy, and their YouTube accounts as well. If it was not for them doing that and their individual PR and marketing department playing into the memeing of the show, I'm telling you, the show would just completely go like undetected, like a silent fart. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that sums up all my thoughts on Invincible Season 1. Man, it feels good to talk about something I enjoyed. I got to do that more. I've gotten so caught up in talking about things and being critical and critiquing things, and it just feels good to gush about something I really, really liked. So yes, that concludes my thoughts on Invincible Season 1. Let me know what you thought about it. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Daniel, and don't forget to get geeky.
People come and they go. Some people